Ahoy, One Piece fans! Imagine this. Your favorite characters and iconic scenes are completely changed. What if the most emotional moments disappeared entirely, and the story was drastically altered? Today, we're diving into the top 20 most censored One Piece moments. Some will make you laugh, others will make you mad, and one will leave you completely speechless. But first, what makes One Piece so controversial? It all comes down to 4 kids totally flipping the script. To make the show kid-friendly, they toned down the action, erased emotional moments, and even rewrote cultural references. Basically, 4 kids turned a gritty pirate adventure into something that felt more like a Saturday morning cartoon. And fans? Yeah, they weren't happy. And get this, by the end of this countdown, we'll uncover the biggest change of all. Trust me, you're not ready for how much they cut from this legendary series. So, without further ado, let's dive in, starting with one of the most noticeable changes. Let's kick off with number 20. Sanji's cigarette becomes a lollipop. This is something that fans noticed immediately. In the original Japanese version, Sanji is known for his tough attitude and his constant cigarette. But when the 4 Kids version aired, his cigarette was replaced with a lollipop. Yep, you heard that right, a lollipop. This was done to avoid promoting smoking to younger viewers, but honestly, it made Sanji's cool factor take a bit of a hit. And while Sanji lost his cigarette to a lollipop, another smoker in the series faced an even stranger fate. Let's talk about Smoker, and why his name doesn't make sense anymore. Number 19. Smoker cigars replaced with smoke. Yes, you heard that right. Smoker, the tough Marine officer with his iconic double cigars, underwent a drastic change in the 4 Kids version. His cigars were completely removed, but the smoke was left behind. Yes, he's still called Smoker, but without his cigars, it now looks like he's perpetually exhaling mist, as if he's lost in a fog machine. The result? A bizarre, half-baked version of one of the coolest Marine characters in One Piece. Smoker with no cigars? It's like calling someone Fireman, but taking away their fire hose. Now he's just Foggy McFogface. Seriously, what were they thinking? If Smoker's cigars turning into fog was weird, wait until you hear what they did to Nami's heartbreaking backstory. Spoiler, it's not just toned down, it's sugar-coated. Number 18. Nami's heartbreaking backstory. In the original Japanese version, Nami's mother, Belmare, is murdered by Arlong right in front of her. It's raw, emotional, and it shapes Nami's entire character. But in the censored 4 Kids version, Belmare was simply taken prisoner. Right, and I guess when my Wi-Fi drops, I'm just taking a forced digital detox. This change completely deflates the emotional impact. Instead of heartbreak, we get a sugar-coated version that feels like a cheap knockoff. And speaking of knockoffs, let's talk about what they did to Luffy's battles. Spoiler alert, there's less blood and a whole lot more sweat. Number 17. Luffy's bloody battles turned into a sauna session? Yeah, it's as weird as it sounds. Luffy's fights in the original Japanese version are intense. We're talking blood, bruises, and moments where you feel every punch he takes. But in the 4 Kids version, the blood is gone, replaced by sweat. That's right. Instead of looking like he just survived a brutal fight, Luffy looks like he spent a little too much time in a sauna. Maybe he's not fighting Crocodile. Maybe he's just testing out the Pirate Gym's steam room. And here's the wild part. There's one fight where Luffy uses his own blood to outsmart an enemy. Guess what? Poof! The blood disappeared. And with it, a key moment of Luffy's genius. Come on, 4 Kids. Pirates are supposed to fight dirty, not like they're fresh out of a spa day. And while Luffy's battles lost some blood, Ace's iconic tattoo lost something even more important: its meaning. Number 16. Ace's iconic back tattoo featuring the word Ace with the S crossed out holds deep meaning in the original version. The crossed out S is a tribute to his late friend Sabo, an emotional detail that hits hard when you know Ace's backstory. But in some international versions, including the 4Kids adaptation, the tattoo was either removed or changed. Why? Probably to avoid any controversy for younger audiences. For fans, this wasn't just a tattoo. It was a mark of loyalty, loss, and love. Taking that away is like wiping out a memory. Ace still looked cool, sure, but now it's like he's missing a part of himself. Come on, 4Kids, what's next? Giving Ace a temporary glitter tattoo that says "Live, Laugh, Love"? Number 15. Alright, Ace's tattoo was personal, but 4Kids wasn't done yet. Oh no, they were just getting started. When it came to anything even remotely religious, they went full-on edit mode. Crosses? Gone. Religious symbols? Nope. It's like 4Kids decided pirates and religion just don't mix. Even Zoros' crucifix-shaped post during his iconic fight got the axe. And Mihawk's cross-shaped necklace? Tweaked. What's next? Changing Mihawk's sword into a giant butter knife to keep things family-friendly? And while religious symbols were heavily censored, 4Kids also made some bizarre choices when it came to female characters. Let's take a closer look at number 14. Less skin, less charm. Who can forget the bizarre choices 4Kids made when it came to female characters? Take Miss Monday, for example. Her outfit was edited to look less revealing. Okay, fair enough. But it didn't stop there. Even Nami, one of the main characters, wasn't spared. Her outfits were toned down significantly, with 4Kids editing her clothing to cover more skin. Certain camera angles were also adjusted to avoid anything they deemed too suggestive. The result? A character whose confident and bold personality was dulled, taking away part of what made her so iconic. And Boa Hancock? Oh, don't even get me started. If 4Kids had ever tackled her, she'd probably show up in a full turtleneck, casually calling Luffy her good pal, instead of being completely obsessed with him. These changes didn't just sanitize the show. They stripped away a lot of the personality and charm that made these characters memorable in the first place. But hold up, we're not done yet. The next censorship moment is so ridiculous, it'll have you wondering if 4Kids even watched the same show. Stay tuned. Number 13. Rice balls turned into cookies. Yes, somehow cookies made more sense to 4Kids. In the original Japanese version, characters like Luffy and Zoro are seen enjoying rice balls, onigiri, a classic Japanese snack. But in the 4Kids version, these were changed into cookies or sandwiches. This was presumably because Western viewers wouldn't understand what rice balls were. The result? Hilarious moments where you can clearly see a rice ball, but the characters call it a cookie. That's like calling a burger a salad. Stop lying to us, 4Kids. Alright, number 12. Let's talk about Zoro. Zoro's sake replaced with juice is another hilarious change. Zoro's love of sake was swapped for orange juice. Yep, the tough swordsman who relaxes with a drink after a hard day of fighting is now sipping on a refreshing glass of juice. While this was meant to discourage alcohol consumption, it takes away some of Zoro's rough and tumble persona. But wait, guys, Zoro drinking orange juice? Zoro used to sip sake like a true swordsman. What's next? Luffy drinking kale smoothies and calling it gear detox? Number 11. Let's talk about one of the most iconic moments in One Piece. Gold Roger's execution. This iconic moment lost its edge. In the original version, Roger's death is shown directly, emphasizing the beginning of the pirate era and his bold declaration that the One Piece treasure is real. This scene is pivotal, inspiring countless pirates, including Luffy, to set sail on their own adventures. However, in some versions, the entire scene was softened or altered to be less explicit, reducing much of the emotional and thematic weight behind Roger's sacrifice. And while Gold Roger's execution was toned down, Zoro's backstory faced an even bigger change. Let's talk about Kuina. Number 10. Kuina's tragic death, which heavily influenced Zoro's drive to become the world's greatest swordsman, was altered by 4Kids. In their version, Kuina was no longer considered deceased, but instead disappeared. This significantly diminished the emotional depth of Zoro's backstory. What is this, a magic show? Did Zoro's rival go poof like a ninja? Somebody call her back and let's fix this mess. And if you thought the changes so far were drastic, just wait until we uncover one of the biggest edits in One Piece history. This wasn't just a minor tweak, it was a massive decision that left fans everywhere stunned. Stick around, because this reveal will leave you speechless. But first, number 9, Luffy's scar and his open mouth. In the original manga, Luffy cuts himself on the face to prove his bravery, a dramatic moment that was completely omitted in the 4Kids version and only shown hundreds of episodes later. This scar is an important detail in defining Luffy's character, showcasing his resolve even as a child. Additionally, Luffy's famous wide smile often features his mouth open, radiating joy and confidence. However, in the 4Kids version, his mouth was often digitally closed. Why? No one knows, but it certainly gave his character a more subdued and unnatural look. Fans couldn't help but find this choice both puzzling and unnecessary. And while Luffy's scar was censored in the West, One Piece faced even stricter edits in other countries. Let's take a look at how censorship went global at number 8. Censorship in One Piece isn't just a Western phenomenon. In China, for example, several episodes were altered due to strict rules surrounding violence and political sensitivities. One notable example includes the modification of certain marine symbols to avoid associations with controversial historical imagery. In some cases, entire sequences involving intense violence were either heavily edited or completely removed, showcasing how One Piece continues to be perceived differently worldwide. But it wasn't just visuals that were affected. Let's talk about how music and dialogue were also transformed. If you thought the global changes were odd, wait until you hear what 4Kids did to the soundtrack and dialogue at number 7. Number 7. Music and dialogue are the heart and soul of One Piece, setting the tone and pulling viewers into the story. But in the 4Kids version, they hit all the wrong notes. Literally. The original Japanese version is packed with emotional, tension-filled music that elevates each scene. From Luffy's triumphant moments to heart-wrenching losses, the soundtrack keeps you fully immersed. But 4Kids decided to swap this out with their own music, which often sounded like it belonged in a budget video game cutscene. Imagine Luffy clashing with Crocodile to the tune of what sounds like a keyboard demo track. Yeah, not exactly inspiring. And it wasn't just the music. Dialogue also got a major rewrite. Characters like Usopp, who rely on sarcasm, clever quips, and layered humor, suddenly sounded like they were auditioning for a kid's sitcom. Dark humor and double meanings? Gone. Instead, we got lines so cheesy, you'd think they were written by a dad trying to sound cool. One infamous example? When Sanji flirts in the original, he's smooth and borderline ridiculous. But in 4Kids, he's just awkward, dropping lines like, "Hey, you're almost as cute as my lollipop." Seriously, 4Kids, are we supposed to swoon or cringe? These changes didn't just sanitize One Piece, they drained it of a lot of its charm. And while bad music and cheesy lines are frustrating, they're nothing compared to what happens when entire story elements are erased. Let's talk about secret weapons and censored concepts next at number 6. Number 6. Let's talk about the ancient weapons and the themes they carried. In the original One Piece, frequent references to ancient weapons like Pluton, Poseidon, and Uranus delved into deep political and existential themes. These powerful, world-altering tools added layers of complexity to the story. In the 4Kids version, however, these mentions were often completely removed or heavily watered down. As a result, the narrative lost much of its philosophical weight and intrigue, leaving fans with a simpler and less compelling storyline. And honestly, it's like 4Kids looked at these weapons and thought, world-ending power? That's too much for kids. Let's just pretend it's a lost treasure map. Come on, 4Kids! Ancient weapons are what make One Piece feel like a high-stakes adventure, not just Pirates 101. Number 5. Changing the Marines to the Navy. From hidden weapons to military power, even the Marines couldn't escape 4Kids' editing scissors. Or should I say, the Navy? In the 4Kids version of One Piece, the Marines, the organization tasked with maintaining order on the seas, were renamed the Navy. While the change seems minor at first, it reflects 4Kids' broader tendency to simplify terminology for Western audiences. Additionally, in some scenes, the Marine logo was altered to remove its distinct cross-like insignia, which could be interpreted as religious symbolism. These edits stripped some of the military flair and cultural nuances from the organization, making it feel less impactful. And while the Marines became the Navy, Devil Fruits also underwent a makeover. Number 4. Cursed Fruits instead of Devil Fruits. Let's explore why Cursed Fruits doesn't have the same ring to it. In the 4Kids version, Devil Fruits were renamed to Cursed Fruits to avoid any negative associations with the word devil. While this might seem like a minor change, it subtly shifted the tone surrounding these mysterious and powerful fruits. By stripping away the darker connotations of the word devil, the 4Kids version took the eerie, mysterious vibe out of these abilities and turned them into something that felt far too sanitized, almost like a kid-friendly magic trick. Alright friends, we're getting closer to the big reveal. But before we hit the final stretch, let's talk about something that really changes the tone of the series. Up next is number 3. Because it wasn't just names that got nerfed. 4Kids also went after weapons, making pirates look a whole lot less threatening. Weapons were a constant target of censorship in the 4Kids adaptation. Guns were frequently transformed into toy-like gadgets, like water pistols. Yep, forget pirates. Welcome to One Piece Summer Water Fight Edition. Pew pew! Wait, did Usopp just shoot a super soaker? And then there's Buggy's swords, another casualty of censorship. In some scenes, they were completely removed or replaced with silly, non-threatening items like plungers. And Mr. 5, the guy with explosive powers? Let's just say his attacks went from kaboom to pop. Real intimidating, right? So, weapons went from deadly to downright silly. But hey, 4Kids didn't stop there. They even went after the culture. Because who needs rich world building when you can just erase it? At number 2. One of the most incredible aspects of One Piece is its world building. It's packed with references to cultures, mythologies, and traditions from around the globe. In the 4Kids version, many of these cultural details were either ignored or edited out. The result? A world that feels less global, less immersive, and, let's face it, a little less like One Piece. But nothing compares to what they completely cut from the series. Let's get to the big reveal. Number 1. Guys, this is insane. Did you know 4Kids cut out an entire arc? Not just a scene or a moment, an entire arc. That's right, the Reverse Mountain arc went straight overboard. And with it, poor Laboon. Laboon, the giant whale who's been waiting years for his pirate friends, is one of the most touching and emotional moments in One Piece. He's not just a whale, he's a symbol of loyalty, hope, and the bonds of friendship. And 4Kids, they just said, nah, we don't need that. Imagine this. You're watching Brook later in the series talk about his promise to Laboon, and you're sitting there like, wait, who's Laboon? This isn't just censorship. It's a complete gut punch to the heart of One Piece. Even Eiichiro Oda, the genius behind the series, said he could barely recognize his own story when he saw the 4Kids version. And honestly, can you blame him? Removing Laboon's story is like taking the heart out of One Piece. It's like trying to play Mario Kart without a cart, or eating pizza without cheese. Nobody asked for that. Seriously, 4Kids, what were you thinking? And that's it, friends. 20 moments that prove censorship can be absurd, frustrating, and, yes, hilarious. What was the most ridiculous change for you? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, keep chasing that treasure. Because as we all know,
the One Piece! The One Piece is real!